Hey guys, it's Mikko from ML Soundlab, and today we are celebrating 5 years of amped plugins. 5 years really seems like a big deal, and it definitely is. It's half a decade of us making amp sim plugins. Obviously we started making amp sim plugins like 8 years ago, but it took us some time to get the first one done. And obviously it was amped roots, and we were very fortunate enough to collaborate with Ryan Fluff Bruce on that first release, and it blew up. We actually released it on April Fools, but it was the real deal, so that was kind of an anti-April Fools joke prank thingy. Anyways, today we will be going through every single amped plugin that we've made, and that's 23 amp sim plugins, so it's gonna be very quick for each of these amp sims, but hey, let's see what they sound like. First off, this is amped roots. Now that's just a free amp sim of amped roots. If you haven't tried our plugins out, I think you can start out with this one because it's completely free. However, if you get a full license, you also get the 5150, the Freeman, and the Mega Fluff. I will not be going through all these amplifiers, it'll take forever. But this was what really started things off for us. Directly after this one, we actually released Amped Arc. Now this is one of those plugins that we actually have not updated ever, so this is the release version as it came out. And the reason we wanted to make this a kind of a plugin, this is based on the PRS Archon, by the way, if you didn't know. We wanted to make this amp sim because there really was no amp model, and I'm not really sure if there is one even now, of this amplifier. So we actually reached out to some awesome people on the internet because you don't even get these in Europe. So we found two amazing people, thank you by the way, who contributed with capturing data for this amplifier so we could actually make these amp sims. And they sound quite different, which was surprising even though they're supposed to be the same amplifier. Now this is still the first version of amped plugin, so we don't have a cabinet section, we have just a pre-made cab that I made, which by the way sounds amazing. You can load in an IR, and you have a very basic pedal board, but you know, this is the setup that we went with for the longest time, and I do actually love this setup because it's very simple. You load up this plugin and it's just there. You have this handful of controls and that's all you have. So you don't really get lost in messing around with the settings, it just works. Now continuing with the same theme of kind of creating amp sims of different amplifiers that didn't really have a plugin out. This amplifier is super rare and was released pretty much that year, I think. And this was one of the first ones that even came out of this amplifier, and we were actually happy enough to collaborate with our good friend Anthony Best on this plugin, and we were able to give people a guitar tone that really no one could really have at that time. So this is what that sounds like. And next up it was Amped ML5, and this is very important to me personally because I don't really think even now the Mark series guitar tone has been modeled well enough in many places. Like you can try different Mark series based amp sims out there or in modelers, but really the whole purpose of having this plugin or this amp sim is to have that super aggressive, extremely high gain tone with the extremely tight low end. And I don't really find that in other places. I don't really want to talk smack about other companies, but just try them out. They don't do this. Good luck trying to find another amp sim on this planet that actually nails that sound as well as the amped ML5. Now, once again, amped ML5 has all the different modes of the real-life amplifier, so we have amazing crunch tones and we have amazing pristine clean tones in here too. So don't just think about this as the super high gain amplifier that it is. It actually has some of the best cleans out of all the amp sims that we have here. And after amped ML5, we have my personal #1 amp sim out of ML Soundlab's catalog, the amped ML800, and this is without a doubt the amplifier that I use the most. Now this is a very misunderstood amplifier for many reasons. I would say mostly because most people that have tried the real thing haven't been able to turn it up properly, so they've never really experienced this amplifier put to its maximum capability, let's say. And kind of the same thing goes for amp sims, what I said about the ML5, where I don't really think that you have a very good truthful representation of what this amplifier actually sounds like. And this is one of those 80s, this is actually from my birth year, so 87, one of those amazing 2203 circuits, which just has way more gain than any plug-in version or any modular version of this amplifier for some reason. So this is all knobs at noon, and this is very much something you could even gent with. Let me just quickly demonstrate what this sounds like. And next up we have Amped Burger, and I think that is the best name for an amp sim plugin. This is once again one of those plugins that we have not updated. So this is the original way we had these plugins going, and I still prefer this in many different circumstances because it's just so simple. You just have these knobs and that's it. You don't have anything to mess up essentially, and I mess things up myself too, so I can only imagine quite many people can mess the tone up perfectly. But this is the sound. This is kind of a different kind of an amplifier. It's not a tight low end, it's more of that huge low end where it's almost like a fuzz. Let's have a listen to what that actually sounds like. And this plugin actually has a different version of the burger, which is called a double burger. This is the tighter one out of these two. So if you're interested in different flavors of the Uber burger, essentially, well, hey, this is what it is, and you can get two different flavors in this plugin. And next up, we have the collaboration with Stevie T. This is Amped Stevie T. And it was actually really difficult to come up with how we would approach this kind of a plugin because, you know, as much as Stevie is an amazing guitar player, he's also sort of a comedic figure. So we didn't want to make this a super serious kind of a plugin. We wanted to have something fun, and I think we completely succeeded. Don't let the cardboard amplifiers fool you. These are amazing amplifiers, actually designed by myself. So what we have here is the Shreddimer, which is definitely a 5150 inspired amplifier. We have the Rectifier. You'll never guess what this one's based on. Then we have the Kalalalalalean. And this Kalalalalalean is actually based on sort of a Morgan, is it an AC or DC20? One of those amplifiers, or more kind of like a matchless, that kind of an amplifier. It's actually a really good amplifier, that kind of stuff. surely the cardboard figure doesn't give you that image. Then we have Gent God, this is actually based on a Friedman. So these are very serious amp sims. On the background, obviously, whatever you think about Stevie T and whatever you think about these amazing graphics that I made, you may not want to use this plugin, but this is seriously one of the most versatile plugins we have. And for that, we have a Telly. Let's see what it sounds like. Next up, we have amped ML Plexi, and this is actually based on my personal Plexi from the year 71 that's actually sitting right there next to me. Something that's very cool about this amplifier is that it's actually quite high gain and aggressive sounding. Like if you compare it to something like a 68 or 69, those kind of Plexis, this has way more aggression and gain than those amplifiers. So for that reason, I really love this amplifier. 100 watts. I think I broke 2 different load boxes trying to make this plugin and finally realized that it doesn't even sound the same if I'm not using a real amplifier. So hey, this is what it sounds like. I'm playing a real 64 pre-CBS Stratocaster here, so booyakasha. Okay, and next up we have amped CB4, which is the Basford amplifier. Chris Basford, you probably know him best of his association with Nickelback, but many other amazing projects as well. This was our first collaboration with kind of a high-end producer type personality, and I remember making this plugin actually took a lot of time because we were actually creating the Vornatic. So this is what it sounds like with a Strat, just a regular Strat, not at all a subsonic Fender. And next up we made amped Flagship. Now this was originally supposed to be just all about the Brown Eye amplifier that is my personal favorite amplifier of all time. I actually have it up there again. I bought it again. I just wanted it again. But ultimately we actually had some amazing collaboration stuff with this, and we were actually able to get the Double J and the Nude, which is a super rare amplifier even on its own. But even if you have just the BE, I mean, it just sounds amazing. Have a listen to this. Now, the next release after Flagship was Amped Duo, a very misunderstood amplifier. This is one of the loose sounding recto style amplifiers. And really the magic behind this amplifier is that it can take something that's tuned to E and potentially is thin sounding, and it can make this sound like it's a PRS, like a full-on fat PRS sound, with just like a bright guitar like this. we have Amped Rev G, Triple Rev G, for sort of the opposite thing of what a rectifier can do. But hey, this is what this amp sim was all about. Now at the time, we definitely heard the cry for having an amped bass plugin, so we made amped bass, which has essentially an Ampeg style head in here, and we also have the Sans amp kind of a sound in here. So the two different industry standards, also with a DI blend and a phase switch. So you could essentially get pretty much all the iconic bass tones out of this one. And I actually realized that I did lie, because I said I use the amped ML 800 the most. This is the one that I have in every single mix. And next up we have the most expensive amplifier in the world, Amped Humble. It's not that expensive, but I have the most expensive guitar of my collection. So this is a real pre-CBS 62 to 63 Strat to honor one perfect song, and this all to honor one perfect song demonstration. I apologize. Now next up we have Amped GNR, and this is based on different variations of the Jubilee amplifier. This is the one from 1987, as it says there, and also we have the different version that is here right next to me, which was made in 1996. And you know, you can kind of probably guess what it's based on the different graphics here. But let's have a listen to what the 87 version sounds like. So this is the Jubilee amplifier. So once again, one of those amplifiers that is very much misunderstood, because people don't really think about the manufacturer as high gain kind of an amplifier, but really it is. This is very much in the territory of Friedman BE, or even the Harry BE. An amazing high gain amplifier, probably the best one in the world. Now the next amped release was Amped VX30, and this actually comes with two amazing amplifiers from this type of an amplifier, Class A. So we have one from the early 90s, which is a very respected era, and also one from the 60s. And that gives us both the blue and the silver speakers. So let's just go with the blue one for now. So this is what this plugin sounds like. So it has the maximum amount of jangle. It does the thing it's supposed to do. And I remember making these amp sims, the most crucial part here was to actually really trust the impedance of the combo amplifier, or else it didn't sound anything like the real thing. So once again, I feel like many times when you have different amp sims based on this amplifier or these kinds of amplifiers, they many times don't actually sound anything like the real deal. I think we really did a good job with this one. Okay, and next up we have the the second Fluff amp sim, and this is called the Fluff 2C. I'm sure many of you know which amplifier this is based on, but this is actually based on two different amplifiers. Fluff has his own, and I had a real 2C Plus from '84 at my place for a long time, and I have actually collected data on that amplifier. So this is actually based on two different amplifiers from, you know, the same kind of amplifier. So it's actually really cool. And once again, I would say the Mark series amplifiers are the most difficult amps to really model well, and I don't really think many people do it really well. Fractal Audio, they do a good job. Fractal Audio, they do a really good job with this, and I would say that we do a good job as well. We actually have tight, high gain sounds and not some fuzzy stuff. Once again, this sounds amazing. Just have a listen. Okay, and the next release was Amped Icon. This was sort of a surprise release right before Christmas, I think. And I mean, you just can't have too many of this type of amplifier. Personally, I really like this one. This actually sounded really good, even though it's not that expensive of an amplifier. I really like the sound of this amplifier. Very raw, very direct, very good, very modern. So let's have a listen to what it sounds like. I'll just bump up the gain slightly, because we are playing a telly after all. Next up, Amped Oracle, the plugin with the most vitamin C. That is the joke. Everyone's laughing, very likely. This is what it sounds like. And okay, now we have Amped Triple Rev G. So remember before when I talked about the dual and people potentially misunderstanding the purpose of that amplifier. Many people don't actually know that they all sound quite different. Triple Rev G is based on my Triple Rev G. Get it? So, and this is what it sounds like with a real 72 Gibson Les Paul Custom. So yeah, this one is super tight, super aggressive, a lot of gain, everything you want in a Rector style amplifier. And the next plugin is Amped Gemini. Our good buddy Guy actually named this plugin, called it Gemini. I thought it was a good idea, but no one really got what amplifier this was based on. So let me just make it clear for you. When two people are born on the same day from the same mother, they are called Geminis or something else. That is what this amplifier is. So just if you didn't get it, the cool thing about this amplifier is that it has tremolo and reverb built in. So the reverb is spring, and also we have such an amazing sounding amplifier, by the way. If I'm ever playing cleans, this is what I'm using. Just have a listen. Okay, after Gemini we have amped block letter. Probably our most important high gain amp sim, right? I was capable of actually getting a real block letter, and I definitely wanted to make it a plugin, and then I also always had the 6666, and I thought, hey, why not have them both in one plugin? And many times I actually prefer the 6666, so this is what that one actually sounds like. Okay, and then we wanted to do some amplifiers that really weren't out there, and we managed to actually get some 70s amazing amplifiers. So we actually have, you know, this is based on a vintage something that Black Sabbath may have used back in the day, and then something that some band with something to do with the color pink may have used with a 103. I hope this is good enough for you to know what it's all about. These are very different amplifiers, so I will actually demonstrate both of them. So starting off with the one potentially Black Sabbath used back in the 70s. This is almost like a fuzz pedal, and this is what it sounds like. And then we have the pink, and let's use the brilliance one with that classic sound, maybe middle pickup. Let's see what it sounds like. Okay, and this is the latest amped release, amped Blackout. Once again, sort of that high gain style of an amplifier. The cool thing about this one is that it actually has a reflex cabinet section, so reflex impulse response is kind of a new thing that we're trying out. We really felt like it fit this amplifier really well, because a real life amplifier, in my opinion at least, has a little bit too much low end and is a little bit scooped, a little bit out of control. So when you have something like the reflex cabinets, they actually kind of take care of that and make it work really well. So this is what amped Blackout actually sounds like. Overall, is there an amplifier that you feel is missing in the plugin line? That is what I'm mostly interested about myself. That is what I work on. I don't really work on the update stuff that much. And what do you see as the future of amp sim plugins? I mean, we have 23 amped plugins right now. Do you want more? Or do you want something different? And even more importantly, when we released amped roots, even at that time, I saw huge problems with the amp sims that were out there at that moment, and I actually think that those problems have gone even further. So too many options. Like if you get your average amp sim plugin, you have at least 200 controls on them, and most of them you don't want to see. Then when you use a real amplifier like this, you just have like 5 or 6 knobs that you use, and you get your sound. the experience of using real tube amplifiers is so much more gratifying and satisfying. You just get an amazing sound very easily. And I think that is something that is pretty much missing on most amp sim plugins out there. So if you just look at Arc, the plugin that I think it was our second release, that was the whole purpose of our amps plugin line originally, where we just give you like 6 controls and you don't have to worry about it that much. Obviously with what we can do, one of the most common criticisms we got early on was that, you know, ML Sound Lab is known for making the best impulse responses. People would love to somehow be able to control that in the plugins, so that is why we have the cabinet section and more pedals and stuff like that. But ultimately, I want to keep it super simple. So, do you feel like the plugins need to become more complex, or do you feel like they need to be more simple, like using a real amplifier? I'd love to know in the comments, and if you have any ideas on what we should do in future, let us know. Thank you so much for watching this video. I've been Mikko from ML Sound Lab. Man, I have too many guitars. If it isn't evident based on these videos, don't tell my wife. See you on the next one. I've been Mikko from ML Sound Lab, and remember, we are celebrating 5 years of amp plugins, so all of the plugins that you heard here, 50% off right now. Go get these plugins, 50% off, boom. See you later, bye bye.